Hi, this is Morgan Doremus with RT Book Reviews, and I'm joined today with Jill Shalvis, one of my favorite contemporary authors.
Very sweet.
And we're here at the RT Booklovers Convention.
Yes.
It's
my first.
Your first.
I'm a virgin.
Yay.
Yes.
and it's really special for us because it's the 30th year that we're holding the convention, and I know it's got to be special for you because you have a really awesome award that you're receiving.
I'm so honored and excited. The Career Achievement Award.
Career Achievement Award.
And I just turned 29. I mean, how did that happen?
Yay! So you're younger than the convention.
That's correct.
And really, one of the reasons that we really wanted to honor you with this career achievement is, number one, you have 4 books that you've written, and each one seems to get better than the last.
Thank you.
Right now, you're working on 2 contemporary romance series.
Yes.
One of them is Animal Magnetism, the other one, Lucky Harbor. Both of these are kind of the smaller towns, the more intimate settings. Can you talk about why that is something that you really are focused on?
You know, it's funny because I grew up in big city. I was born in New York. I grew up in Los Angeles, and so the small town kind of always just drew me. But I do try to write the small town with a sense of community so that you feel like you're in a bigger space, because that's what I know. I love the quirky characters. I love the isolated settings.
Now, when you say quirky characters,
I kind of mean it.
You totally mean it. You've got these characters that you never quite know what they're going to do. They get up to like these hijinks that you're like, oh my God, how'd they get themselves in this situation? One of my favorite recent books that you've written is Forever in a Day.
Oh, yes.
And your heroine, she's between jobs right now.
Yes, she is.
She shows up. She shows
Bless
up in
her
Lucky Harbor.
heart.
Yeah, bless her heart, exactly. She shows up in town and she picks up all these odd jobs. So she's a dog walker, and she's
never owned a dog.
No, and then all of a sudden she's like nannying for Dr. Josh's son, and she has no idea what she's doing.
Yes.
And some of the things, like, she's so inept, but at the same time she has such a big heart that she makes it work.
Yeah, bless her heart. I like that kind of a character where you put her in a situation where she feels like she's going to drown and she ends up finding herself. I really like that.
Yeah,
and poor Grace, she was drowning.
She really was. And then one of the things that you did specifically in this book is you have the humor, and you have these really kind of awkward situations that you just have to giggle at. They get into your hero and heroine get into some hijinks in the near the pool area, and I won't give it away, but sexy hijinks. Yes. but also in this book, as much as you laugh, you also have a little bit of a more serious side, because Josh has a sister and she's disabled, and she's definitely, the whole family's really dealing with this.
And they're pretty dysfunctional, Josh and his son and his sister. The threesome is quite dysfunctional, and I always felt sorry for Josh, because here's this big kind of sexy guy, and
he's a doctor.
And his entire life is falling apart. And I really love that Grace, through her ineptitude, was able to kind of put him back together, because he's used to saving people, right? He's never been saved. He didn't think he needed saving, and he did.
He totally did. And so you have the heart along with some of these more dramatic moments, but it completely works. And this is something we see in Animal Magnetism. I know one of your recent books in that series dealt with a veteran that was coming back from war.
Yes, Rescue My Heart. Adam had a little bit of PTSD, and that was different for me. A guy who was truly broken and needed to be put back together.
So it's really interesting how you do that with your characters. Do you, when you're writing them, what gives you the first idea for a character? Like you say, they're broken or they feel this way.
In Rescue My Heart's case with Adam, I usually write these big kind of strong guys who can do anything. And here's a guy who's done everything, saving people all his life, and then he gets this fear of caves. So I thought, what's the worst thing you could do to this guy? Well, put him in a cave and see what happens. So I enjoyed picking him apart and then putting him back together. That was fun.
So you torture him just a little bit.
I set out to do that. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Now, how did you decide where these small towns were going to be? And the reason I ask is because I'm originally from Idaho.
Oh, you are?
I am. And so whenever I read Idaho in a book, of course, that always gets me because it's such a small
It is small,
state.
But that was the purpose. So the Animal series is set in a fictional town, Sunshine, Idaho. And I'm very attracted to the mountains. I live in the mountains, so I was very drawn there. And I just try to put it, where's the furthest place in the country that you can still be in this country and have it be completely isolated?
That's Idaho.
Right.
And what about Lucky Harbor?
Lucky Harbor, again, a made-up fictional town. I'm also drawn to the beach. So I thought, if I set it in the Pacific Northwest, I can do mountains and beach, because Lucky Harbor's nestled by the mountains, the Olympic Mountains, and yet it's right on the rocky coast. So I got the best of both worlds there.
Okay, let's talk about a book that you have coming up. And this is Allie's story.
Yes,
and
It
this
Had
is
to Be You.
It Had to Be You. And this is in the Lucky Harbor.
Yes.
I read it and I felt so bad for Allie. The book starts out and talk about destroying your character.
Yes.
In one swoop, she loses her boyfriend. She loses her house. She's
Her dignity.
Her dignity, exactly. And then her family, like she's trying to be like, oh God, I just don't even want. I'm not even going to tell them because I just can't even deal with mom and sis coming on and telling me like what's going on. So how did you meet Allie? You as the author, how did you meet her?
Again, I set out to create a hero or a character that is at rock bottom, because I really like doing this. There's a little mean streak to me. And so I just decided, what's the worst thing? If it was me, what's the worst thing that could happen? Loss of job, loss of the roof over your head, and maybe being threatened with jail, which is what happens to Allie, because that would be terrifying. So that's what I did.
She finds an ally in a police officer.
Yes.
Right?
And really hardened, kind of a little bit of an asshole, right?
Yeah. And he doesn't trust anybody. Nobody.
And what happens, the poor guy goes on vacation to Lucky Harbor and ends up with this half-naked woman in his house yelling at the telephone. What the heck? Yeah, so I threw those two together.
And it's a little bit different from some of the other ones because there is a bit of a mystery in here, and that plays a role in the story.
Mm-hmm. I enjoy doing that. There's a little bit of a mystery in the next one too. The next book is Jack, who is Luke's good friend, and Jack is the firefighter. He comes out in September with Always on My Mind, and he is a mystery too.
And you've written firefighters before.
Yes, I love firefighters. I am
like real life heroes,
yes,
right? Okay, so we know what's coming next in the Lucky Harbor. We have
Yes.
Jack. What about Animal Magnetism?
I'm going to write Griff and Kate's story, who show up and rescue my heart. In fact, they come out in November. Rumor has it is the title.
Wow, so you've got a really, really busy schedule.
I do have a busy year, those 3 books.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the
Thanks for
convention.
having me.
And it's your first, and we're
Yes.
giving you this big award, and I'm so super excited.
Thank you.
So anybody looking for amazing small town contemporary romances absolutely needs to check out Jill Shalvis. She has wonderful books, and she is now a RT Career Achievement Award winner. Thank you.
Thank you so much.